The countdown is officially on, folks. The Iowa Hawkeyes will be traveling to State College in late September of 2023 for a whiteout at Happy Valley. We'll talk about it. The announcement today that it would be a night game on CBS. We'll react to the news in just a second. But first, I want to tell you about Iowa Floor Covering. Their Tough Core Click Together 4.5 millimeter waterproof vinyl flooring, folks. Available at $269 per foot with self-installation. Visit iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. Support Tyler, Ryan, and the guys down in Bondurant at Iowa Floor Covering. That's iowafloorcovering.com/DIY. And support our show by supporting our sponsors, including Aura. Perhaps you've Googled yourself to find your personal information somewhere online. And of course, people are making a fortune selling your personal information to robocallers, spammers, etc. Well, let Aura help you to get protected. Visit aura.com/Hawkeyes or click the link in the description below this video. Again, that's aura.com/Hawkeyes. Everything is super easy to set up. You don't need to download a bunch of apps. It's available at a tremendously low rate, but try it for free today. See how Aura can help you protect your information. Visit aura.com/Hawkeye. Sign up for the free trial today and help us here from the Hawkeye of the Storm. So what news on this Monday? The first official kickoff time announcement for the Iowa Hawkeyes fall football schedule as Iowa set to do battle against Penn State under the lights in Happy Valley on the 23rd day of September. And look, this is a game that's always marked. We know the story from 2021 in Kinnick Stadium, a couple of top 5 teams doing battle. And of course, Sean Clifford being knocked out of that game. There were claims of Penn State players faking injuries. Some Iowa fans booed players who were down on the ground. Of course, you had the big Spencer Petras to Nico Ragaini, or I guess at the time he was still going by Reganey. Pats down the sidelines. Keegan Johnson made a big play as well in that game. But Iowa finding a way to deal with the lack of offense once again and beating a top 10 team in Kinnick Stadium, which is not an uncommon thing for Iowa fans to observe. But another thing that's not very common is to see a team go into Happy Valley and beat Penn State, let alone under the lights. And this is going to be a whiteout. It'll be nationally televised on CBS. Remember, this is the first year of the new Big Ten deal. So basically the Big Ten's done with ESPN and ABC. The Big Ten now will shift its full attention to Fox, NBC, and CBS. CBS cannot fully focus on the Big Ten yet because they still have final season obligations with the SEC, but there will be games such as this one on the 23rd day of September in which the Big Ten will be featured. And won't this be special to watch Penn State and Iowa? Some of the storylines to follow in addition to the 2021 game. Keep in mind, Iowa went into Happy Valley and won in 2020, albeit without a crowd. Remember that game? That was the Davion Nixon swim move on the pick six. What an incredible play for a big guy who is now playing on Sundays. Iowa has won 2 straight against Penn State. Keep in mind, prior to that 2020 game, Penn State had dominated this series since 2011. Iowa did win in 2010. They actually went through a stretch there in the final years of Joe Pa's tenure there, or just about the final years of his tenure. Remember, they won in 2008 with the Sean Green game, the Daniel Murray kick in Kinnick Stadium. They won 2009, whiteout in Happy Valley, a rainy day, and the blocked punt return for a touchdown by Adrian Claiborne. And then, of course, in 2010, that was the Sean Prater pick 6 game, and Iowa wins again in Kinnick. It's hard to beat this team back-to-back times. That's what they're going to be trying to do again this year. And unlike in that 3-year stretch from 2008 to 2010, where they won 2 of the 3 at Kinnick, they're going to be trying to win 2 of the 3 in Happy Valley. But again, if they can accomplish it this year, this will be the first time they've beaten Penn State in front of a crowd there at Penn State since 2009, since that whiteout game back in 2009. So tons of storylines. Drew Aller, the 5-star phenom quarterback, of course, he'll be taking snaps at quarterback. We expect him to be the starter at Penn State. Keep in mind, Penn State does have a difficult schedule to open things up. They get West Virginia at home. That will also be a night game on NBC. So Penn State fans will have plenty of primetime exposure in the month of September. West Virginia, Penn State on the 2nd day of September. They get Delaware and then at Illinois on September 16th, which should be a tough game as well, even though Illinois has lost quite a bit, including their starting quarterback and one of the best defensive backs who's ever played in an Illinois uniform. They lost him to the NFL draft. Iowa Of course, opens with Utah State. They get Iowa State on the road. Iowa State early favorites in that one, but Iowa State coming off an abysmal season. But going to Ames is always a tall task. Iowa has largely dominated that series up until last season with that loss at home at Kinnick. And then, of course, Western Michigan. So you could say that Penn State will be more battle tested. I think it's good news that Iowa gets a road game in the non-conference this year and then gets to go to Penn State. I will say this. I talked about this subject with Mark Rogers the other day before this announcement was officially made. I talked about it last Tuesday. I would not be shocked to see Iowa go out to Penn State and find a way to make this close and keep it close heading into the fourth quarter. Look, Drew Allar will still be in his first month of starting at Penn State. It seems like Penn State's either had Trace McSorley or Sean Clifford at quarterback for years, for like the last decade. I know it hasn't been that long, but the point is, this is new territory for a young guy in Drew Allar. I know he's got a lot of hype, a lot of accolades, a lot of high school accolades for Drew, but this is a new thing for him, and he's going to get primetime exposure. You're going to get that primetime feel against West Virginia and then follow it up with a game against Iowa under the lights. But Cade McNamara's season, the last time he went to Happy Valley, he beat Penn State with the help of Eric All and a late touchdown score for that combination. So those guys are used to playing there. It's going to be veteran against newbie, and thankfully for Iowa fans, they've got the veteran. And would not be shocked to see Iowa win. Clearly will be the underdogs. My guess is they'll be probably closer to a 10-point underdog. I know Mark Rogers had talked about, maybe being a 7-point underdog. My guess is with the night game and being under the lights, I mean, we'll see what happens those first 3 weeks of the season, but my guess is that line will move to 8, 9, 10. But the point is, Penn State, Iowa should be a terrific battle. And man, I guess we should mention the last time Iowa went to Penn State with a crowd there. That was 2018, another really rainy day. And that was the Nate Stanley, Mekhi Sargent team, Brandon Smith, Amir Smith-Marset. Nate Stanley, I remember, hurt his thumb on I think it was a teammate's helmet during the game. Had a hard time completing passes all game long. Made a late push thanks to Noah Fant and his efforts along with TJ Hawkinson. And if it wasn't for a costly interception down near the goal line, Iowa may have stolen that game in 2018. So Iowa has a history of competing well there, with the exception being 2012 was obviously not a good showing in Happy Valley. Certainly 2016 wasn't either. But this should be a fun one. I think it's going to be close. But boy, CBS at night, whiteout, Iowa, Penn State. Doesn't get any better than that. So the countdown is officially on, folks. It finally feels like we're getting close to football, even though we're talking here in mid-May. So we'll continue to talk about it here. Just wanted to give you some brief reaction to the news that Iowa Penn State would be a night game this September. Keep it locked right here. Hit the subscribe button. Support our sponsors. Again, get your free trial of Aura. Check out iowafloorcovering.com/DIY and tell me what you thought of the news that Iowa Penn State would be a night game this September. Tell me in the comments section below. We'll talk to you next time.